What's on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and it appears we have finally reached the reckoning. Not just did a recent report from Attorney General Ed Martin say that James Comey is facing prison over an Instagram post. We're going to discuss that later. But also the woke mayor that stormed the ICE facility is also facing charges. And look, we'll talk about the complexities of the Comey thing a little bit, but I don't care. I don't care. Put them all in jail. This is what they did to everybody on J6. They were surveilling families who didn't want their kids, taught creepy stuff in school. I don't care. If you ran out of F's to give 3 years ago, leave a like on the video. First, let's talk about the James Comey thing. Then we're going to talk about the mayor situation, because let's actually start with the mayor thing. The Department of Justice is now set to announce charges against Democratic Representative LaMonica McIver as early as today for attacking law enforcement at a New Jersey ICE facility. Here's the video. Right there in red. She's putting hands on. Right there. Shoved her with her elbow. Shoved with... Now, that is what you call a gunt. If you're unfamiliar with this is not a FUPA. This is a gunt. You'd have to look it up. You may be familiar with it. Ethan Ralph popularized that classification, as he is perhaps the original gunt owner. But the gut and chest also complete the cylindrical form. This person should get charges. If this were Republicans doing this, I would hope that even Democrats would admit that they'd be calling for arrests. Then we had James Comey, who simply just found a cool seashell formation that he definitely didn't put together that says 8647, which I come from the restaurant business. 86 meant you're out of stock of something. If you're out of ribeye steaks, you say 86 a ribeye, or you're out of special, you 86 the special. It means to get rid of it. Did he mean this as a call to action? I don't know. But I don't think the Democrats, when they were in power, seemed to care too much about context either. So I don't care. I don't care. Lock them up. 100% lock them up. I don't care. They didn't care about, grannies at J6. They didn't care about people taking their own lives because they were facing unknown prison sentences. They didn't care about putting people in solitary confinement who weren't even at the Capitol that day. So guess what, James Comey? You can go to jail. I don't care. Here's what Donald Trump said about it.
He knew exactly what that meant. A child knows what that meant. If you're the FBI director and you don't know what that meant assassination. And it says it loud and clear. Now, he wasn't very competent, but he was competent enough to know what that meant. And he did it for a reason, and he was hit so hard. Because people like me, and they like what's happening with our country. Our country has become respected again, and all this. And he's calling for the assassination of the president.
Obviously, he apologized and said he doesn't.
Well, he
wasn't
apologized
calling
because
for violence. But
look, he's a very bad.
What do you want to?
I mean, yeah, there was an era in my life where I'd say, well, we got to give people the benefit of the doubt. But, they didn't give us the benefit of the doubt. They were 100% fine not giving American citizens the benefit of the doubt, locking them up with sham trials. So, Comey can get locked up too.
Violence, but
look, he's a very bad.
What do you want to see happen?
What do you want to see happen? I don't want to take a position on it because that's going to be up to Pam
Smart.
and all of the great
Smart
people.
move.
But I will say this: I think it's a terrible thing, and when you add his history to that, if he had a clean history, he doesn't. He's a dirty cop. He's a dirty cop, and if he had a clean history, I could understand if there was a leniency, but I'm
100% with Donald Trump on that. 100%. The image shared by Comey, a long-term Trump foe, showed seashells in the sand arranged to form 8647, according to screenshots shared by Trump administration officials. He did not make the meaning clear, but administration officials and some of his supporters interpreted the meaning that Trump's status as the 47th president and the slang term 86, which is often meant to eject or remove. Comey later deleted the image. In a follow-up Instagram post Thursday night, Comey wrote that he posted the earlier picture of some shells he happened to just see on the beach, which I don't believe that part either, which I assumed were a political message. I didn't realize some folks associate those numbers with violence. It never occurred to me, but I opposed that of any kind and took the post down. But too late. Kristi Noem says he's now under investigation. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem wrote on X that the issue is under investigation. She said that Comey just called for the removal of the sitting president and added that her agent and the Secret Service are investigating this threat and will respond appropriately. Current FBI Director Kash Patel said in a separate statement that we are aware of a recent tweet by former FBI Director James Comey directed at President Trump. We are in communication with the Secret Service and Director Sean Kurian. Primary jurisdiction is with the Secret Service on these matters, and we, the FBI, will provide the necessary support. Hey, a couple of 4 a.m. raids seem like, that we should probably do a deep dive into Comey. Starting at 2, 3, 4 in the morning every day for a couple of months. That's what they would do to Republicans. That's what they would do to anybody who might say something like that about Biden. That isn't even up to debate. A Secret Service spokesperson said it vigorously investigates anything that can be taken as a potential threat against our protectees. Now, look. Is that tweet open to various levels of interpretation? Yes. If it were anyone else, this guy still has a First Amendment right. It can be interpreted to mean many different things. Does that mean, he gets to go right to prison? You could make the argument he has a First Amendment right. 86 does not explicitly mean to take someone's life, but I'm just not going to care too much if our existing leadership doesn't want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Listen to this.
So it seems like what you could potentially do, because there's no doubt that in 30 years at the FBI and in federal law enforcement that James Comey has come about this term, 8 to 86 someone. It's been around for a very long time and is very popular. And you see it at protests. You see it all across social media, actually, on the left, as they grow ever violent and get back to their roots. So it seems like what could happen is you could potentially have a situation where James Comey is going to be lying to federal officials. He's going to be lying to the FBI when he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know what this meant." There's clearly a record of James Comey knowing what this means, and that you could really there's a lot of very bad traps for James Comey in this instance.
Right.
Yeah. Look, a number of them. Look, first thing that happens, he says, "Oh, I didn't know that meant that." Well, there'll probably be some people that he worked with that will testify. He knew, or there might even be a paper trail that says he used that phrase and everybody knew. But there'll also be a point where a jury will be asked, a fact finder, like, shouldn't the guy know? Like, here's a record of what you're doing. It's not like he, moved to the country last, week from, Papua New Guinea and had never been exposed
Right.
to the media or the law. This is, a seasoned professional who knows. And look, he took it down so fast. He knows he made a mistake. But excuse me, I don't think this statute is one that you sort of take back. It's pretty clear. You post it, you do it. That may mitigate his jail sentence or something like that. But I think he's got a problem. And as you point out, perjury traps are next, because he's got to either lie or tell the truth. And when he chooses that, he's either going to jail on one or he's going to jail on the other. So
Right.
I don't know. Is he a drinker? Was someone impaired? Because this was a colossal misjudgment.
Now, again, I think there are a lot of people out there willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I get that. But I'm not anymore. This is not how they would treat us. This is not how they would treat me if I posted this about Biden or Nancy Pelosi. Am I saying he needs to get life in prison? No, obviously not. But he did make a threat, in my opinion, and I'm not really open to giving these people benefits of the doubt. I'm just not open to it. Same thing with this mayor that stormed the ICE facility. She can go to prison too. Because our patriots who were there on J6, and I'm talking about not the ones that literally broke the law. I'm talking about the ones that did a little trespassing and got freaking 4 years in federal prison. You know, they can do that crap. They've been doing lawfare to Trump forever. I don't care. This is why Republicans lose so much, is because they're often like, well, we're above that. Nah, it's time to give these losers a taste of their own medicine. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.